Hi, and welcome to Polly's podcast. And today I'm specifically going to target the question of what is visceral fat? So let's dive in. I've got my notes right here. Let me get them. All right, so visceral fat. So visceral fat is body fat, a specific kind of body fat that is stored deep inside the abdomen, and it surrounds the vital organs like your liver, the intestines, the heart. And it entangles itself in between these organs. And it's unlike the subcutaneous fat, which is just under the skin, because visceral fat is hidden and you can't pinch it and you can't see it. That's what makes it so extremely dangerous. All right, so I want to explain what makes it different, and I've got my notes here on the laptop. I don't know how to put them onto the screen, so bear with me. So visceral fat is not soft, it's hard, and it's found beneath the abdominal muscles, and it wraps around the internal organs. And it actually can function as its own organ, which is absolutely terrifying. A small amount of visceral fat is normal, and it helps to cushion the organs and protect the organs against falls or trauma, getting hit. And of course, a small amount helps to regulate your hormones, and that's normal. But when I say a small amount, how much do you think that really is? I mean, I have got more than enough, right? So I have enough to burn off. I don't know about you. So also visceral fat is, you might hear it being called active fat. I'm going to tell you why it's called active fat. Because it can influence how your body functions. Because it can function as its own organ, which is terrifying. It interferes with the normal process of the body. So, too much visceral fat is obviously linked to serious health risks, and I want to make this very clear. Everything I say here today, I want you to please go and do your own research. It is documented, the data is out there, this is proven, it's scientifically documented. It is linked to serious health risks. Visceral fat, holding on to visceral fat for a long time is extremely dangerous, as it is linked to heart disease. It is also linked to type 2 diabetes, which means you can become a diabetic from holding on to too much visceral fat. It's also linked to stroke. Even worse, it's linked to certain kinds of cancers. So holding on, building, developing, holding on to visceral fats for a prolonged period of time can lead to certain cancers. It's been linked to that. Also Alzheimer's. That's a horrible, horrible disease. So visceral fat literally releases inflammatory substances, and it releases hormones of its own that can disrupt your body's normal process. This is what's so extremely dangerous. So I do, you know what? Be scared, because it's scary. But I also want you to know this is documented. This is clinical research that's been documented. And you should check with your medical provider for details as to whether or not you have visceral fat, or whether or not you're in danger of high risk of these types of things happening. Check with your doctor. I'm just a random person on the internet, and I am just sharing with you the research that I do that's publicly available on the internet, as well as in published books, and as well as my personal experience. All right. So you can measure visceral fat in many different ways. So the easiest way is going to be waist to height ratio, right? So I know that, let's say for an example, you're 60 inches tall. Well, you don't want your waist to be over 30 inches, which is half of that 60 inches, right? So that's one way, it's waist to height ratio. I know that there is a waist circumference ratio, and that is basically broad spectrum across the board, and it says that for women the waist should never be over 35 inches, and for men the waist should never be over 40 inches. But that's really very misleading in my opinion. So I think the best way to test is imaging, like CAT scans, MRIs, and any kind of like scans, body scans. But they're so expensive, and there's no real functional reason as to why they're so expensive, because look into it. You'll find what I found. There's no reason other than pure, unadulterated greed for these types of scans to be so expensive. And why is it that your insurance doesn't want to pay for that scan to test for your visceral fat when they know that visceral fat is one of the leading causes of metabolic disease? I don't know, just questions, I guess. So one of the ways, I just want you to know that you cannot target visceral fat. So if you start to burn body fat, you're not going to be able to say, I just want to burn and lose visceral fat. It doesn't work that way. So when you start to target fat, you're targeting all the fat. So whether it's, your ankles, your thighs, your hips, your belly, your chest, your arms, your back. So when we start to target body fat burning, you're going to lose fat everywhere, like I did, like I'm doing. But then again, not everyone is the same, and you might be able to target fat loss. I can't, and I know a lot of people that cannot, but you might be the anomaly, and you might be the one that can, so congratulations. So there's different ways, and there's multiple ways to burn body fat, and that is, first and foremost, is to exercise regularly. Now, when I say exercise regularly, I'm not talking about running. I'm not talking about stressing your body out so much that you are increasing your cortisol and storing more fat. We're talking about high intensity interval training. If you don't know what that is, please look it up. HIIT. High intensity interval training. So what I do when I do high intensity interval training, which is, by the way, not very regular, I will do like jump rope for like a whole minute straight, then I stop, then I walk it off. I'll run for like a whole minute as fast as I can, and then I stop and walk it off, right? So it's high intensity for a very short period of time. Okay, another way which you want to combine with that is eating a balanced diet. So I don't know what a balanced diet is to you, but to me, a balanced diet is protein, animal protein. That's what it is to me. To other people, it could mean plant-based protein. I don't know, but for me, it's animal protein. To some people, that could be carnivore, which is high fat, high protein. To other people, that could be lean protein and low fat. So whatever meal plan that works for you, that you develop with your provider, great. So I don't eat any grains or fibers because I don't eat fillers. I'm not a pig. I don't need fillers. I eat animal proteins all the time. Once in a while, to break a plateau, what I will do is I will use a lean protein week or 2 weeks, and that works for me. All right, so limiting sugar and processed foods. I believe that there is no place in the diet, in the human diet at all, for sugar or processed food. So what is sugar? I eat sugar cane sometimes. That does not spike my insulin at all. It also helps to balance the mouth pH. Sugar cane is actually prevents cavities and gum decay. Did you know that? Because I looked into it, and it turns out that sugar cane in nature has the appropriate amount of fiber and water to its fructose ratio. So it's very interesting. Look it up, you'll find out. So once in a while I do eat the sugar cane, but I don't eat sugar. And even then, when I eat sugar cane, because it's so much work, I limit it, to just a small little piece. And the rest of that day, I may not have anything else to eat except for a piece of lean protein. So it doesn't affect me badly. So, burning stored visceral fat can be done in many, many different ways. So on this channel, I talk about my journey, right? So I do practice breathing. I practice a little bit of mindfulness. I practice a lot of gratefulness. These things have helped me to manage my stress, and managing stress is critical to lowering that cortisol. So also, I'm going to tell you how I improved my sleep. There's many ways to improve your sleep, but for me, a liquid multi-mineral at night, an hour before I go to bed, has really, truly helped. And of course, I did stop many months ago having a cigarette with a large meal. I also stopped having a cigarette when I drink cocktails. I stopped that. I just stopped. I just said enough is enough, no more cigarettes, right? So, stopped. That's also helped a lot. So, there's different ways to burn body fat, visceral fat. But I want you to know that if you're curious about burning your visceral fat and lowering the levels of your visceral fat, you're at the right channel. I want to help you understand that you can get rid of visceral fat right now. You can start right now. And I can help guide you through that if you want me to. If you find this information beneficial, if it benefits you at all, please hit the subscribe button, because this is a brand new channel where I'm sharing my journey with you. And it would help the algorithm also to show other people this content that may benefit from it. Hit the thumbs up if you liked any of this content. And please hit the notification bell. This is 100% free. I'm not here to sell you anything. Nothing. Giving you free information. Okay? I'm going to show you how I explored getting into shape and how I built the momentum to just do it and get into it. So, visceral fat is understandably very dangerous, and I want you to understand how dangerous it is. So as we go on to make more and more episodes here on this channel on Polly's podcast, I want you to understand the mechanisms behind the words that I'm using. All right, so until next time, be happy and be healthy. Thank you for joining me here on Polly's podcast. Bye for now.